Hey, what's up, guys? So I ended up taking Heroes to Eagle X last night, and I didn't do exceptionally well, but I think the deck is still really cool, first and foremost. Second, this is my second variation of the hero list currently. I'm still testing it. I got a lot of good lessons from last night because I fought a lot of really unique decks that you wouldn't have fought. Specifically, I fought two lists. Fought the first one twice and then the third one. Really interesting. I won the first game, lost the next two, and then I ended up dropping because I was just tired. But we'll go over the list. We'll talk about kind of how the games went. We can't show you any of the stuff because I forgot to ask if it was okay for me to make a video over it. But we will go over the list first. So we have 4 of the new Digimon egg from BT21. Aegis is a simple one attacking once per turn. If the Digimon has the Gamamon in its text or hero trait, you draw 1. The reason we played this is because I think it's the best egg for the list currently when it comes to just getting some kind of draw. I think that the Coromon is better if you want to run things like Uko because they can actually get draws off of them. However, this one is just like the simplest way to get like early draw and not have to worry or think too much about it. The Coromon is whenever a Tamer you control, I can't remember if it's like a yellow/red Tamer you control, suspends, you draw a card or not. But it does not require you to attack. And the reason we played this egg is because the egg has the hero trait in it, which otherwise a lot of your level 3s will be evolving for 1, which never feels great. Up next, here's our suite of 3s. So we're playing 4 Shout, we're playing 4 Gumdra, we're playing 4 of the Guilmon, and then we're playing 2 Gamma. I believe that's it, yes. So going into what these cards do, so Gil and Gumdra, I mean, both play the same role, so we'll put them next to each other real quick. So Gil and Gumdra both have the on play. You can pitch 1 card with your archetype in trait, so hero, or 1 card with your other archetype in trait. So for this one, it's Gil, Growl, Gallant, or Megadra. And for Gumdra, it is the save archetype. And then draw 2. So very similar to what the old Gumdramon did, but now it's just on both of these cards. They're very nice for draw, very good for like pitching unneeded Tamers or unneeded bodies in hand, and for putting some cards in your trash, because that matters in this deck a little bit. And then the inherit for the Gumdra is what most of the cards will have, but I will make a note of the Gills real quick, which is on deletion, gain 1 memory. It is the only card in this list that has that inherit, and I expected it to be very, very impactful. But it actually wasn't super strong, and I think part of that is because of the decks that we were playing against. We played against Hunters, which was the 3rd deck that we played, and obviously they get around the undeletion very well, and they're able to play around it. In the second one, in the first 2 that we ended up playing was the Beelstar plus the new Appmon support, which is very good. I think those are cards. The Appmons are very, very strong. All the new Appmons I think are pretty good as long as they're part of like the main archetype stuff, so like the Cherish and like the new like Dogach and stuff are really strong. And we ended up taking a set against Beelstar round 1. Round 2 we ended up losing to it, and then round 3 we ended up losing to Hunters. And we'll kind of talk over those games afterwards. Back to the main deck list though, is Gumdra is plus 2k inherit, and this is going to be the primary inherit that most of our cards are going to have. Our bodies get very, very large. This one also has on deletion save, so it's very nice for setting up your Tamers as well. And the other 2 that we have available to us, the first one being Shoutmon, is just your turn when the Digimon would digivolve into Archetype 1 or Archetype 2. So that for this one, it is Crossheart, Blue. I think, is it just Crossheart? Okay, it's just Crossheart, not Blue Ferret as well. So Crossheart or Hero reduce the cost by 1, and then on deletion save. And it has the inherit when Digimon. If this Digimon with the Crossheart trait has the Crossheart in its traits, it has Rush, basically. So, not super useful as an inherit for a majority of this deck. However, because we played 3 different Crossheart trait Digimon, the Shoutmon King version, and the Omni Shout, this is really nice to be able to give Rush consistently to those bodies. And then the final one is 2 Gamamon, which is your turn while you have 3 or fewer security, or 2 or fewer security, my bad, or 3 or more hero trait Tamers with different names. This Digimon may digivolve into Seriousmon from the hand for a Digivolution cost of 4, ignoring its Digivolution requirements. And this one falls to 2k inherit. This card is really nice because Seriousmon actually put in a ton of work yesterday, like an obscene amount of work. It's to a point where I was like, man, I really wish I had a Seriousmon in hand. But we'll go over that when we get there. On to the level 4s, we are playing 4 of the Arrestor, 4 of the Aguni, 2 of the King version, and, oh my bad, 3 of the King version, and 1 of the Dogach. So kind of going over these things a little bit. These 2 cards have been insane for me, and I think one of the reasons this deck struggled a little bit was because I just didn't see enough of them, or I didn't see them in certain games. I think that this deck is lacking a little bit more in the 4 category, to a point where I'm probably going to bump up the Shotmon King version, and I may actually bump down the Dogach, but we'll get there in a second. So, all of these ones have the 2k inherit, except for Dogach, which is an app, so it doesn't have that. The fact that it's an app, I think, only hurts it in this list. Not having an inherit kind of sucks, and we will never be linking with it, so never consider that an option. The rest is on play when digivolving. You can cross it for 2 using any card with save in its text, or you can evo on top of level 3 with save in its text or hero trait, cost 2. Most of them will have something very similar to that. On play when digivolving, you may play 1 Tamer card with hunter or hero trait from your hand without paying the cost, and then on deletion you may save from this card and then 1 card in your trash, basically. So, save from trash and then save this card. Really, really good. Agunimon is also insane in this deck. Being able to, when digivolving, you may place 1 hybrid or hero trait Digimon card from your hand or trash as Digimon's bottom source, or under any of your Tamers with inherited effects. That second part doesn't come up too often, as we're only playing 2 of the Takuya, and we aren't playing any other hybrid Tamers with inherits. However, being able to just stack a body underneath is really nice. One of those bodies that you can continuously stack is actually the Guilmon. If you don't need to be insane, that extra 2k DP, being able to just get like an extra memory on deletion makes this a 1 cost Evo whenever you swing it and it dies, which feels pretty good. And being able to stack multiple of those was like the theory behind why I played so many Gils. I'll kind of tinker a little bit more whether or not it's worth it. Again, I'm not sure if it was less impactful because of the decks I was going against, or what the exact reasoning was. It also has the when attacking effect of this Digimon may digivolve into a red hybrid or hero trait Digimon card in your hand with the Digivolution cost reduced by 1. So currently, this is a bit more unfortunate. There's only 1 good target, being the Omni Shout, that we're currently playing this list. I'll kind of like tinker around because this card is a house. Like unironically, these are 2 of like the strongest cards in the deck for just like pure value and for like aggression. So trying to play a little bit more around this card and getting one attacking effect off is really nice, because if you do try to go into the Arrestormon, it actually doesn't work out at all, unfortunately, because the when digivolving effect happens mid-attack, meaning that it essentially just fizzles and doesn't get the extra swing in, which is never where you want to be. So the way that you would typically run it is you would swing at the Aguni, you'd let the check go through, and then if it survives, you would then digivolve into the guy to get the extra swing in, which is kind of sad. It works very well with the Omni Shout, being able to swing in with the Aguni, digivolve for 2 into the Omni Shout, and then end of attack, have the Omni Shout delete itself to play out something else. Typically, you're going to be playing out a Tamer, though it does reduce the play cost by 5. So like there are a couple things you could do. Like you could Shoutmon King version something out, cross it with the Shoutmon or Omni Shout in hand to give it rush, and then you can swing in with it immediately again, which is also one of the reasons I'm considering playing more Shoutmons. The problem with that is that obviously you need 2 cards, whereas the Dogach you don't, which we'll go into in a second. For the Shoutmon King version, it's just a play cost 5. You can cross it for 1 with a Digimon, 1 Digimon of xrossheart trait, so the Omni Shout or the Shoutmon regular version. And then it has Raid Piercing, which is really nice. This guy will be, if you just digivolved him on top of one of your non-Shoutmon rookies, he will be at minimum 7k, which 7k Raid Piercing is completely good, especially with the on deletion of the Arrestor that we just talked about, which is on deletion, place a guy underneath the Tamer and then say 1. What I typically place underneath was actually Guilmons from trash underneath the Tamer, and then I would go into an Agunimon and place another Guilmon underneath. I think I got up to like 2 or 3 Guilmons in a single stack. of the prior night, which is really funny. But that stack actually had a small weakness, which is I didn't play around DP as much. Because I was so used to just being able to kill most things, which we'll talk about in a second. I know I've said the line like 8 times, but it's fine. Finally playing a 1-of Dogotch. It is the highest cost Evo requirement, being 3 on top of a red or a green Digimon. All of our Digimon are green, however, so we'll be able to achieve that really easily. I mean, all of our Digimon are red, however, so we'll be able to achieve that easily. It is a hero trait Digimon, which is important because it is necessary for certain tags. And then it has Rush, Raid, which is really nice. So the way that it kind of works is, even if you just hard play this guy as a 6-cost play, you will not need to keep turn in order to immediately swing with it if you have the Taiki Tamer out, which is like the idea of it, which is being like a essentially deal 1 to your opponent's security. The unfortunate part about it is because it has no inherit, it always feels bad to play something like the Tamer for value, but it also doesn't really proactively increase your game plan, as well as it has Rush Raid, so it's really good at removing a body. But the problem with that is it doesn't have piercing, and so you're kind of just removing a body, which your deck can already kind of do with like larger bodies anyways, and it feels like you're kind of just missing out on some oomph behind this card. So I'm thinking about cutting it, but I'm not 100% certain yet. On to our level 5s, we're playing 4 Arrestramon Superior Mode and 2 of the Omni Shout. We'll go into the Omni Shout first, which is just this card's treated as Shoutmon for Digicross reasons. You can cross it with with a Shoutmon for 2 memory, so you can also cross it with itself, which is pretty convenient. And then end of attack, you can play 1 card with Crossheart, Blue Flare, or the hero trait from your hand. With the play cost reduced by 5, and then if you did, you delete this Digimon, and then on deletion, it's the same as the other ones. You just save a card from your trash, pretty much, and then save itself. These inherits suck, unfortunately, if you're not using them with the Shoutmons, so that's something to keep in mind. It's actually really difficult to make use of them efficiently, but I think this card's still good, and I will definitely be adding more of it, just because we end up running out of 5s pretty consistently as well, which was an issue, and I kind of want to bump this number up a little bit. Onto like the king of the crop, honestly, this guy is surprisingly really fucking good. I think underestimate how strong battle is in this game. So this is a Arrestramon Superior Mode, 10k, 9 play cost. You're never really going to be playing this guy. Has Raid and Piercing, which is a fantastic combo, obviously. Then it has when Digidwelling Digimon may attack without suspending, which is really good. It means you can get in two checks with this guy or with one of your other guys, and then get another check in, which is super, super good. But like, I just underestimated it, I think. It has the all turns effect to get plus 1k for each of its Digivolution sources. And I was like, okay, so what, it'll be like, what, 13k, 14k on your opponent's turn. I've had this guy up to 17k on my opponent's turn. And that's not a crazy number to hit. That's not like, oh wow, you must have like tried really hard or like saved up or like took like a couple steps. No, it was just like, oh, I can just get 17k on this guy right now. On my opponent's turn. On my turn, it was like 28,000 DP. Or like 27,000 DP. It was a gross amount. Anything that you can beat over, you will be able to beat over. I don't care if you're Insect, I don't care if you're Gallant, I don't care if you're fucking Magna, I don't care. You're gonna get hit really hard, and I'm gonna kill you really hard. That's actually where we come into our first problem. I started relying on this card a lot. And so when I ran into a card that I couldn't remove through battle, I actually started having some issues. The card I'm talking about is the Gundramon for the Three Musketeers that came out a little bit ago, like one of the prior sets. I can't remember the exact one. But I just said you can trash an option card from underneath to prevent your guy from being removed from battle. I went against an opponent who had like 3 or 4 options in their Gundra, which isn't hard for them to do with a lot of the new Appmon stuff, because they just like shove options underneath like crazy and they don't care. And it becomes like really difficult to remove them. And I'm sure like if your deck was more able to kind of just ignore what your opponent's trying to do. So like if you're like Sakuya, you can just like suspend it. If you're like the Royal Knights, you're just gonna kind of go around the guy because he only can block one time anyway, so it's like, okay, whatever, I don't care. But with our deck, it's like, okay, but we really need this chip damage to go through, and so if I swing in, he may block, we'll be over him, but he'll protect, and then he may like digivolve, he may like take out some of our extra bodies, he may like still lack a memory, which we needed. It got very difficult to kind of play around it a little bit. I definitely made a lot of misplays in that set. Like game 2, I didn't play around serious mod getting killed from like security, or like game 3, like I could have tried removing his stack, but I was like, maybe I just need to go for the kill instead of trying to remove the stack, and like not understanding the breadth at which I could play, and like where my lines would lead me, which obviously comes from like a bit of experience, which is why even though I didn't do too well with the deck last night, I don't think it's a bad deck. I think it's kind of just harder to play than I was expecting, because the kind of plays you get to make in order to play around those kind of things is a lot more difficult. But going on to our 6s, we are playing 4 6s in total, 2 Sirius and 2 Valkyrie Ace. So Sirius was crazy. Sirius is crazy. Sirius is crazy. I don't know what else to say. He's crazy. He's really good. Being able to he just sec +1 raw, has raid, no piercing, which is sad, but I mean on your turn he will be, if you even just go on top of him with Gamma and then triggers effect one time, he'll probably be around 16 KDP 2 checks, which is really good. He has when digivolving, you can place 1 Digimon card with Gamma and its text or the hero trait from your hand as his bottom Digivolution source, then delete one of your opponent's lowest DP Digimon. And that also is a 1 attacking effect, and neither of them are once per turn. So like if you can make this guy attack multiple times, you're good. But even then, deleting 2 of your opponent's smallest things will usually clear most of a board. You can also raid into their biggest thing. And if you trigger it twice, you can get up to like 18 KDP, which is really gross. And that's just assuming you went off the Gammamon as well, not even like going through like a full line. This card was great, and there are multiple games where I was like, man, I wish I had more of this guy. There was never a game that I felt like, man, I really wanted more of this guy. In fact, every time I drew this card, I was like, fuck, man, I really wish it was something else. And that leads me to actually, I think, the first actual problem of the deck. The first real problem of the deck. Not being able to remove things that are immune to being outbigged isn't like a huge issue, because I don't think there's a lot of things like that in the current format of Digimon. I think most things get outbigged pretty easily. I think the Musketeers deck was more of an outlier, and we'll see if it becomes like a really good deck or not. This card is not able to be used for value in any way, shape, or form. Meaning it becomes a dead card in your hand until you need to use it to defend yourself with the Arrestramon. That was the idea, at least, is that, oh, okay, I'll have a big Arrestramon, they won't be able to like beat over it, so that if you remove it by effect, which is like, whatever, I can't do anything about that, or they're just going to try and ignore it and swing in over me, in which case I can Valkyrie Ace them, punish them pretty heavily, get maybe like a sec +1 or delete something else. That'd be really fun and really good. The real problem with the deck is that you never go plus. I've been playing a lot of Sakuyamon recently, and everything in that deck lets you plus a card. Play Renamon, you add 2 pretty consistently. You play Rika, you can add 2 sometimes. You go into a training, you're at least plussing a card on field that you can make use of later. The new Sakuyamon lets you draw 2. It's just Pot of Greed on a card. It's so good at drawing. Royal Knights, the new cool boy, lets you just continuous plus every single turn. You're just getting like 2 draws, 3 draws every single turn. It's so good. This card does not let you plus. No cards in here let you plus. They all go even. Every card lets you go 1 for 1 in your card advantage. You're never going up in card advantage. The only thing you can do in this deck is go down in card advantage, which is really hard to deal with. And it requires your Tamers to kind of save you in that sense, which they're coming up. Don't worry, I will say it again. I didn't want to see the same line again. I was going to cry. Having this card in hand makes it really difficult to continuously go 1 for 1 in card advantage, because you're always trying to find more pieces. You're just trying to keep cycling off the top over and over and over and over and over again. And there were games where I sorry about that, where I ran out of cards. Like, I went through my whole deck, but my hand was never big. I never had like more than like 8 to 10 cards in hand. I was always like just barely surviving off carded with cards, which is really rough. And I think it's the actual first weakness of the deck, and that's something I'm maybe looking into trying to fix, or maybe if I can try and mitigate in some way. But this card I don't think makes the cut in that kind of list, because it's not doing what I need to do, which is going plus in cards. We played a level 7 Omnimon X Antibody. You know the guy. He's pretty good. He did win a game. He's just like another like rusher removal piece. It's pretty nice. He's also the only thing in our deck that has blocker, which can come up as a means of like defending ourselves from our opponent. That's never really where you want to be. But I think I could probably still keep this guy in the list because I think he's just so strong. But we're also so good at rushing that maybe it's not necessary. I don't know. It's definitely some things to think over. And now on to the Tamers. We're playing 4 Tagaru, 3 Taiki, 2 Takuya, and 2 Hero. Okay, so let's start with, I think, the boss of the guys, obviously. If we're playing a hero deck, you must have the hero of the season, Tagaru. Those of you who played Hunter, this is just old Taiki and old you put into a single card, which is gross. It's just both of them combined into one for one more memory. Really convenient, really good at doing what we need it to, which is just, hey, I'm gonna put a card underneath, I'm gonna gain memory, draw a card. Every main phase, I'm gonna put a card underneath this guy, gain memory, draw a card. And then I can use those cards to either make an Evo 1 cost cheaper and give my guy an extra source, be it a Guilmon, be it a plus 2k, be it a rush if we need to. Whatever I need it to be. Dang, I don't have anything I want to evolve. Well, this guy's got 8 sources. Let's just go Goonimon. Easy peasy. Tagaru, congrats on being in a Goonimon now. Really, really good. I don't think you could cut this guy down below 4, but I'm not sure if he's the best Tamer from last night, at least. He was, I think, at minimum, the second best Tamer. We'll get to the best here in a second. Taiki is Tagaru. The exact same, in fact. They are quite literally the exact same. The only difference is the cards they specifically interact with for their archetypes, and the secondary effect, which is instead of when evoing, make a card cheaper, this guy says, hey, whenever you play or evolve a xrossheart or hero trait Digimon, you can spend this guy to make an attack. Which is where cards like Dogotch come into play, or like your rush plays and things like that, because you can just go, okay, damn, I'm at 0 memory now, I've done all I could, my opponent's on 0, I have nothing else, and I'm just going to Dogotch for 6, trigger the Taiki, and then Dogotch because it has rush will swing, or I'll Shaman King version, or Omni Shao, or whatever I need to do to get rush here in this scenario, and it just kind of happens, which is really nice. It also falls into the Tagaru camp because it's placing cards underneath. It will also be a really good Goonimon target for when you're wanting to evolve. So you can give good Goonimon targets. Takuya! I'm playing this guy at 2. He's pretty good. The only problem with him is that he doesn't plus me at all. He doesn't let me cycle 1 lick, which is the unfortunate part about this guy. However, he does let me get, I think, probably the most memory of any of the Tamers in small bursts. So, start your main phase. This guy says one of your Digimon or Tamers may digivolve into a Digimon card with the hybrid or hero trait from your hand, and then for each of your red Tamers with different names, reduce the cost of this effect's digivolution by 1. So, by himself, he makes the Goonimon a 1 cost Evo, or he makes any of your level 4s a 1 cost Evo. On top of like the Shotmon, for example, it makes it a 0 cost Evo, which is really nice. With 2 Tamers out, makes all of your level 4s a 2 cost Evo, makes your level 5 a 1 cost Evo, and makes your level 6 a 1 cost Evo. 3 Tamers, 0. And from then on, you're just plussing 0 every turn if you want, or this guy's also got an inherit effect, which says, when your opponent's security stack is removed from play, is removed from, you may play one red Tamer card from your hand without playing the cost. This is one of the other ways that we use to actually cheat out our Tamers, which is really nice. Being able to cheat, turning this guy, start of Bane phase, into a Nagunimon, place a Guilmon underneath, swing into security. If it lives, that's cool. We can turn it into like a Restriction on Superior mode for an extra check. If it doesn't, we just gain a memory. And we can also just play out a Toggeru, either scenario as well. Get the Toggeru out, and we can start plussing off of that every turn, which is super, super nice. I actually really like this card. I kind of want to add more. The problem is, however, again, is he's not proactive in finding us our pieces, which is, I think, the worst part about this card. The surprise hero last night was actually Hero. I should have been holding these this way. I'm so sorry. Michael's gonna yell at me. Hero here has been fantastic for doing the one thing this deck lacks, which is letting you plus on what you're doing. So for those of you who don't know, Hero has a starter main that you should be used to by this point, which is just gain a memory if your opponent has a Digimon, which is really nice because it doesn't require you to use any of your cards to actually gain that memory. However, its second effect says when one of your Gamamon or Hero trait Digimon has a card placed into their sources, you can suspend this Tamer, gain a memory, draw a card. So this means this guy can gain you 2 as long as you're committing some resources. But the most important thing is that he's drawing a card, but he doesn't cost you a card. And what do I mean by that? Well, for Toggeru, I place a card, gain a card and a memory, okay? I spend a card here, gain a card and a memory. Whereas it's different with Hero, because even though I'm spending a card already. Let's say this is a Digimon, this is a Digimon. I Digivolve here, and then let's say it's an Aguni, I place a card underneath. Let's say I have a Toggeru, I'm suspending it to place a card underneath. I then just get a free card off of this, meaning that instead of just getting a 1-for-1 boom, I'm now getting a 2-for-1 boom, which is so important. It's so important. The games that I had Hero, I was a king. I was thriving. The amount of extra draw, he would get me maybe 3 to 4 extra draws a game, which may not sound like a lot, but when you are so hard up for cards, it is a game changer. Especially when you're an aggro deck, being able to cheat out actually like 4 cards for something that you're already wanting to do and gain 2 memory on top of it, it's just so nice. This guy by himself pays for like a 4-cost Evo. Like, it's just so good. I was actually really impressed with what my boy was cooking. And then finally, we're playing 2 offense training. Everything in the deck is red, so it lets us search for anything that we want. Not sure how I like it either, because again, obviously, it doesn't really let us plus. I think it's probably the biggest weakness in the deck, the one that I'm going to try and figure out how to fix it, as well as tinker around a little bit more with some of the other cards we have available to us in the Hero package. But again, last night was a bit weird because I played against decks that I didn't really have any practice against. I had played a set of Hunters prior to them having, I think, any of the new stuff. The new stuff I think definitely takes Hunters up a notch. I don't know if that deck is good now, mind you, but I think it's at least cool and able to do some new stuff. That new Toggeru is crazy for the deck. And the new Beelstar stuff, being unable to out the big blocking body was such a huge issue for me. Because in prior games where I went against like Magna X, Gallantmon, Royal Knights, Sakuya, it didn't really matter if they were immune to Digimon effects, or if I couldn't get on plays, or if I had -5 hit my board, or or fucking they're just immune to all of my effects. It didn't matter because I was so big. It's like, I don't care that I have -5k and you have a rune mode. I'm gonna swing into him, kill it. You'll give me -10k, and I will still be 16,000 DP checking in. It doesn't matter. I don't care if you're 16k. I'm 20,000 DP. I don't care that you're 24,000 DP. I'm 27,000 DP. I'm killing you, Gallant. Like, it didn't matter because I was just beating them over and over and over again because I was so aggressive and able to keep getting chip in over and over and over again. They weren't able to stop me. But having a guy that I can't remove and I can't pierce through makes it a little more difficult. So I'm not sure if it was more so the matchups I ended up facing were just kind of rougher for the deck, or maybe I just didn't play well into those matchups. There's like a whole host of things it could have been. But that is Heroes. I think it's really cool. I'm going to do a lot more tinkering with this deck. I'm going to try and figure out how to make it at least somewhat viable. But thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe.